And joining us now in studio is Ontario's Minister of Finance, Dwight Duncan, the MPP for Windsor-Tecumseh. And we're always glad that you make this a regular stop on your way back from the days-long activity at the legislature.
Always delighted to be here, Steve.
Let's just share with our viewers the numbers that you already know and that you shared with the people of Ontario earlier today. Michael, if we could, this graphic, please. Here is the economic update that the Liberal government brought in earlier today. The 2010-2011 deficit now coming in at $18.7 billion. That's actually $1 billion lower than was projected earlier. What's new? An Ontario clean energy benefit. It works out to about $150 a year of a hydro rebate for the average household. It will last for 5 years, works out to about 10% off your current hydro bill starting January 1st of next year. And the government also announced today that it has the electronic land registry contract. It's going to be extended. And that means it's $1 billion coming into the Treasury by extending that contract over the next 50 years. So let's just go through some of this. Why is the deficit $1 billion lower than anticipated?
Stronger growth, by and large, in the economy. Ontario's growth this year for 2010, Steve, will be 3.2%. We were predicting lower than that earlier in the year, as were all private sector economists. Now, that's the good news. Now, next year, we're now predicting less robust growth. We're still going to have growth. We're looking in the low twos next year, largely as a result of what's going on in the U.S. economy. In addition, we've had some success in holding the line on expenditure growth, even though we made a commitment.
Modest success.
But you know, every little bit helps.
Did you say
and I mean,
today?
But we're on target and on budget, and we're keeping to the projections we laid out, which is important in terms of the plan to eliminate the deficit.
Okay, let me follow up on that first number, 3.2% growth. How much of that is you, because your government stimulated the economy this year?
Well, the economists tell us it's a significant piece. They won't break it out, but what we can say is this: of every economy in North America, when you look at all the states, or I shouldn't say in the United States and Canada, Newfoundland's leading because of the oil and gas industry. Texas is number 2, and we're number 3 in terms of growth. We're running ahead of Canada at 3. We're running ahead of virtually every major jurisdiction in the United States other than Texas.
If that growth is based on your going to the financial markets and borrowing $18 billion in order to stimulate the economy, you know, how real is it?
Well, it's as real as the United States going and borrowing trillions of dollars. I mean, this is happening all over the Western world. In fact, our borrowing requirements and what we're doing in international markets as a percentage of our revenue, as a percentage of gross domestic product, is actually quite a bit lower. And the final point I make on this, Steve, and this is one that I watch very carefully, people are buying our bonds up around the world. Why? They see it as a good investment grade paper. They see Ontario as a strong economy going forward. That's not the case with every government that's out there borrowing right now.
Okay, so if our deficit for fiscal 2010-11 is $18.7 billion, how do you see it projecting a year down the road?
Well, we're laying out, it'll be down around 17. We will overachieve again, but we're not through this year yet. Like, for instance, today, the GM IPO. That's going to put the share offering. That's going to put money into the provincial treasury that will have to be booked this year. And remember, we booked the expense associated with the money we put out for them back last year. So that's not built into the fiscal plan. So a number of other things that are happening. We're seeing very good corporate tax growth. And if that continues on through the balance of the year, you know, I'm optimistic that we will again exceed expectations this year.
So how much did the Treasury realize with this GM share offering today?
Don't have that number yet, and but it'll be in the hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions.
And
okay.
It'll be I think it's one of those factors that should help us out as we move forward this year in keeping that deficit number going in the right direction.
It's not chump change, but it's a long way from them actually paying back all the money you loaned them.
It is, that's right. Well, actually, they paid back the money we loaned. What we won't recover entirely is the money we put in that's guaranteed by shares.
Gotcha. Okay, the hydro rebate. Tell us how this is going to work.
Every month on your bill, ask your listeners to go home if they want tonight, get out their bill, look at the bottom line. All the charges, including the tax you pay. If it's $200, you get $20 back every month for the next 5 years. That's designed to help people because we've had to make very big investments in new transmission, in clean energy, new generation. With this rebate, Steve, we can confidently project that most people will see about a 3.6% per year increase in their hydro costs over the next 5 years. We heard people, they told us a number of things. First of all, they want a cleaner, greener energy system. They want a more reliable system. I mean, I remember, when I was energy minister, my first 2 summers, I wouldn't leave the province. That was back in 03 and 04 because we were that close to brownouts. On a few days, I got calls in the morning saying it could happen today. We've invested, we've brought on, I think, some 7,000 megawatts of new power, cleaner power. We've put an additional 5,000 kilometers of new hydro lines in, and we're building wind and solar and clean green energy and shutting down coal, cleaner air, more jobs, safer, more reliable electricity.
Haven't made any decisions on nuclear power, though, I noticed.
Well, we did in the Integrated Power System Plan, which calls for 2 new reactors. We went out to look at that. It came in a lot more expensive than we were prepared to make decisions on last year, but the Minister of Energy, my colleague Brad Dogood, will very shortly be doing the first update to the Integrated Power System Plan. We're getting rid of the big words, we call it a long-term energy plan now.
Okay.
And that should give greater clarity on those
My
issues.
fault. I took you off track there for a second because I do want to follow up on the hydro rebate. Is it going to work this way? You pay the bill, you get a check back from the government in the mail?
No, it'll be a credit on your bill.
A credit on the bill.
So, mine gets paid right on my bank account. I know a lot of people do. So what you get your bill, it'll show your total, including the tax, $200, say, for instance, and then it'll take $20 off, and then that'll be the 180 will come out of your bank account the way it normally does.
By offering this discount, is it an acknowledgement by the government that the plan that it put forward was too expensive?
Not at all. Since when is cleaning our air too expensive?
Well, since you're rebating money.
What it's an acknowledgement of, Steve, in my view, and what we are doing here is helping people. Because you know what? We're not touching rates. This is not a rate cut. Rates are going to continue to be changed or be adjusted by the Ontario Energy Board the way they always are, to take account for the additional investments we need to make. I mean, you raised nuclear. I mean, we've got a long way to go to build a strong and safe system. So we wanted to avoid the trap of rate caps because, first of all, they're not transparent because the money gets buried in the government's deficit. Number 2, it starves the system of the very investment that it needs. So those investments will continue. The contracts we sign will continue. And but this is saying to consumers, because we've heard people tell us this, that the increases are steep. This helps them transition.
I appreciate that, but the rebate, I think, fully costed is more than $1 billion a year, right?
$1.4 billion when fully implemented.
$1.4 billion. And you don't have that money in your pocket. You're going to have to go out and borrow that, right?
Well, we borrow for schools, for hospitals, for all of our priorities. And what we're saying is the concerns of families today is their energy bill. So we're responding to that priority, not entirely, but we're helping. And what's interesting about this is that the reason we're looking at 5 years is that's when we estimate the debt retirement charge will be what they call defeased. That means it'll come off people's bills. It won't be paid, but it will be through the investments of the OEFC, the balance of the debt will be paid off without the debt retirement charge.
Okay, I guess critics would say the difference between borrowing money to put up a school is that at the end of the day you got a school.
Yeah.
You're borrowing money here in order to lower the hydro bills of people today, and your kids and grandkids are going to end up paying for this, right? In terms of higher taxes in the future.
I think helping families who are struggling through very lean times right now, and we've heard loud and clear that they're feeling pinched, we think it's an appropriate investment. And we think by helping people, we can continue on the path. No government's been able to do this. And back to that debt retirement charge, and this comes back again, Steve, to what I call having an honest debate. The debt retirement charge represents, in my view, past governments of all political stripes trying to pretend that you can artificially keep the price of electricity low.
Isn't that what you're doing, though, by giving
Not
a
at
rebate?
all. You're going to see your bill, you're going to see how much it goes up every year, and you're getting a small portion back. It's an important portion, but it's designed to transition, and that's why it's coming off in 5 years. Because that's what, if you look at the documents, you'll see that the investments are happening now. So let me give you for instance, a windmill. Okay, You pay to put the windmill up. Costs a lot of money up front. Once it's built and paid for, you don't have to pay for the wind. And I just use that. It's an oversimplification, but I use it to try to paint the picture. We're seeing that steep increases are going to happen like this, and then things level off, and we get more stable pricing. Plus, we have cleaner energy, more jobs, and safer, more reliable power.
Okay, I get that, and that's all kicking in 5 years down the road, you say.
Oh no, it's a lot of it's kicked in now. That's why bills have gone up.
Okay, but any environmentalist will tell you that if you want to be more green,
Yeah.
raise the price, because then people use less of it.
Yeah.
If you lower the price, are you not encouraging people to be the energy hogs that we are renowned around the world for being?
We're not lowering the price. We're giving a rebate, and there's an important difference.
Philosophically, I see the difference, but at the end of the day, it's the same thing, isn't it?
No, it's not, because the other thing is important is that families can feed their children and not be too impinged by prices rising too quickly. This is designed to help them. And you know what? Listen, and we've got a suite of conservation programs that are working. And we are I'm the energy minister who took the price cap off. And that was the right thing to do. It remains the right thing to do. This is designed to help families transition because we are investing a lot of money, and it has impacted their bills.
Okay, I've kept it real Disney up until now, but now we're going to talk some crass politics here, okay? Right? Because we just got a couple of minutes left. Here's Adam Radwanski, your pal from the Globe and Mail. Creating artificially lower energy prices confirms that the Liberals have all but thrown in the towel, at least for now, on a reasonably noble attempt at an adult conversation about the sacrifices required to shape a modern electricity grid and build a greener economy. I love the expression, where you stand depends on where you sit. And my hunch is that if you were in opposition, instead of in the Minister of Finance's office, you would be screaming bloody murder about how this government is trying to buy the voters with their own money a year before an election. Am I wrong about that?
Yes.
If you were in opposition, you would not be...
Which other party has stood up and said prices are going to go up? Which one? And what's their plan? I see Mr. Hudak and Ms. Horvath throwing sand at each other, mostly throwing sand at us, but I haven't heard a plan, okay? And so what are they going to do? Most importantly, to bring on more cleaner energy and clean air for our kids. So you know what? You've got a finance minister who stood up today and a premier and said, we have to have an honest debate and discussion about this. Prices are going to go up. You know, every government of every political stripe has tried to pretend that's not the case. We're the first one to continue to say that. We've been saying it. We want to help people transition. And they're going to see on their bills how much it's going up. They're going to get 10% of that back as we move forward. We think that's an important priority. We think that families being able to afford this transition is important, and I don't think we should ignore it.
No, understood. But did you think it was a bit sweet of the Premier to say yesterday, this has nothing to do with politics or election timing, it's all about good governance? I mean, that's pushing it a bit, isn't it?
It is all about good governance,
It's
Steve.
nothing to do with politics or elections.
It is all about good governance,
Nothing?
Steve.
That much?
It is
That
all
much?
about... No, you know what? We've been doing this for 3 years. The Premier cited 11 things we've done in the last 3 years to help families. So, you know, today we just passed the child tax credit to help support families who are putting their kids into sports and cultural education. And so we've done a range of things. Seniors property tax credit. It's about good governance, and it's about understanding the needs of people and responding in a responsible way so that we can continue to make the investments we need to make in that system, acknowledging the fact that prices are going up, and trying to help people as we transition to that.
I listened to your interview on the John Tory show earlier today on the radio.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you're reading Team of Rivals right now.
Yes.
That book about Abraham Lincoln,
Yes.
Doris Kearns Goodwin.
Yes.
Is that,
Just finished it, actually.
You just finished it?
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be about the Liberal cabinet or something, or no? What's that about?
Oh, you should ask John Tory about that. This is one of those. In fact, he's got a YouTube clip regarding this. If you go on YouTube,
I know you're taking a cute little shot at him there. So I just wondered
we're
what that
having
was
a
about.
little. This has been an ongoing thing, but I'm going to let John tell you about that. And you can start if you go on YouTube and just Google in John Tory and Dwight Duncan. This will, and this is going to continue on with Mr. Tory as the years unfold, whenever we interact. And Abraham Lincoln means a great deal to him and to me.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Dwight Duncan, Ontario's Minister of Finance, as always, thanks for joining us at TVO
Good to be back,
tonight.
Steve. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All the best.